Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I will share with you the most preferred and best-selling bag model of the brands that I prepared with spaghetti yarn paper thread. It will never go out of fashion. I will describe a wonderful bag that you can combine with many clothes, use as a beach bag or daily, and is very suitable for daily use. I would like to show you our model closely. I preferred Spaghetti Yarn's natural paper thread. Look, it's pretty deep inside. You can sew aces inside if you want. You can use a snap zipper on the hanging part, but it is actually quite useful in its current state. We will prepare the stems by braiding them with paper rope. Look, I want to show the other part as well. It is a very stylish sample and it is really easy and enjoyable to make. I am sure that even those who are starting knitting for the first time can do it very easily. I tried to share with you the step-by-step description of the size of our bag in the video. You can make the size of this bag smaller or larger. You can find all the details in the video as I said in our recipe. Before moving on, I would like to make a small request from you. You can subscribe to our channel for free. I would be really happy if you like the video and leave your comments. For this bag, I used 3 balls of the paper type of spaghetti oil, but I used very little of the third ball of yarn. 3. You can also make a bucket hat with the remaining yarn from the ball of yarn. If you would like another bucket hat recipe, I will add the link to that video in the description section below. You can also find the hat recipe from the link below. I enjoyed it very much while working. I hope you like it and try it too. Let's move on to our recipe. I used a total of 3 balls of spaghetti oil paper yarn for my bag. I used the third ball only to complete part of the edge blind and to make the handle. It is also worth mentioning this. Now I want to show you the content of the rope. Mixed 100% paper weight in the range of 130 to 150 grams, 250 meters long. It is quite easy to knit. There are also many different color options. When you visit spaghettiyarn.com, you can also look at the color varieties of paper yarn. If I remember correctly, there were 10 colors in total. By the way, this may also come to mind. You may wonder if there is any thickness, fineness, or difference between the colors. But I have knitted and experienced many colors. There is no difference. Pretty standard. A paper yarn that you can easily knit and use without any problems. Now here I want to use my paper rope again while describing our bag. The crochet number I used is 3 mm. You can determine your own crochet number according to the thinness and thickness of your own yarn, the density and looseness of your knitting. Here you can use the paper string of spaghetti oil from the outside rather than the inside while working. When we take it out from the inside, look, the rope looks a little more twisted. It needs to be leveled like this, but you can also remove it from the outside. Both may be preferred. Now, I removed it from the outside to make it easier. Look, we will prepare 2 round pieces here. These pieces I have prepared are very easy to knit. Now, I want to describe it to you right away. We first start with the magic ring. If there are beginners among us, how to make a magic ring, I have shared the detailed video before. I will also add the link to the description section of our video. You can access it by clicking there. Look, after creating my magic ring like this, I draw a chain. After this chain, I stretch my loop. Look, we created such a magic ring here. I'm stretching my noose. I'm stuffing it into my crochet hook. I make a loop by sinking into the ring. You have 3 loops. We will work as single handrails. I fill them. I gather 3 of them at once. This single handrail is also called a double crochet. I wrap it again. I sink into the ring. I take out a loop. There are 3 stitches in total. I fill them. I gather 3 of them at once. I wrap them again. I sink into the ring and make a loop. You have 3 stitches. I wrap them around and collect all 3 at once. Look, the knitting of the rope is really softer than other stitches. In this way, we will now knit our single handrails. We prepare a total of 10 single handrails by knitting them into our magic ring. We knitted and prepared 10 single handrails in total. I'm stretching my noose here. Now I will pull the short thread remaining from the magic ring as far as I can and collect my knitting. I wouldn't recommend pulling too fast at this stage. Your paper string may break in an instant, but I want to point this out. Compared to other threads, the paper type of spaghetti oil is a bit stronger, because if you don't pull the others carefully, even the slightest bit, they will break right away. but this one is a little more solid. I can pull it like this and collect the middle part with peace of mind. Now we will continue knitting a spiral here. Look, after knitting the last single handrail, I take the short remaining rope for the back part. Look, right after the chain, the top of the single handrail is this point. Let's make this clear once and for all. If you get confused, start counting from the first point. These look like spikes. The vertex points are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. We knitted 10 single handrails. Now look at the first point. We are filling the top of the first railing again. We will work entirely with single handrail. We come to the top of the first railing, and since I want to knit the short rope by hiding it, I put it on the crochet hook. I remove the loop from this point. I have 3 stitches and I completed them. I collect it all at once. I'm filling the first single handrail. Coming to the same space, I sink again and take off the loop. I have 3 stitches and I completed them. I collect 3 of them at once. Now at this point, we will need the locator to see the end and the beginning. Now the first thing I knitted, look, this is the first handrail in the second row. I immediately attach my stitch marker to the body of this. If you do not have such a thing, you can also tie a rope of any different color on your hand. In such a cotton yarn, it can be connected. There is no need for this. Now we completed the first handrail by knitting 2 stitches on the top, that is, knitting twice. What does double mean? This means we are knitting 2 single handrails in the same hole. So when we sink 2 into the same hole, we call it a double. We say odd when we knit a single stitch, that is, when we knit a single stitch. We are now in second place. We got around. Look at the next one. I sink into the top of the single handrail again. Take out the stitch and knit a single handrail. I wrapped it around. Look at the second gap. I come to the same gap again and knit a double. I fill it up and immediately knit my double again in the next one. In this way, we will have double points where we will sink, making a total of 10 points. In this way, we proceed until the end of the row, that is, until the point where we will determine the stitch. We have come to the end of our turn. A total of 10 double sink points were created. Now look, we come to the head space just above the point where we attach the safety pin. This is our first row to start with. So the first point of a new row, I'm filling up immediately. I'll start with this point first, then I will knit one by one. We are actually doing a classic round base increase. By the way, there is an important tip while knitting. When working with paper thread, be sure to proceed with hand ironing. Sometimes the braid can curl inwards like this. The knitting can be collected. Don't let this scare you. When you open it with a hand iron, if you are sure of your numbers and you do not think that you have made a mistake, your knitting will create a neat appearance when you hand iron it. But if the numbers are missing, there will be distortion even when you hand iron it. That is, it will not be corrected even with a hand iron. Then you will definitely need to check your numbers. This is a very easy knitting. I am completing it now. I'm starting the row. Look, there's no joining or hiding, etc. I immediately come to the first space. I'm double stitching again into the gap of the handrail. So I'm starting with 2 stitches. I'm filling it up. I'm stitching 1 stitch into another space at the beginning of the crochet. Look, I started with a double. I knitted the other one. Now I'm going to knit another one double. I'm going to knit the other one single. We will proceed by knitting the whole thing in the form of a double and single. I fill it in and immediately knit 2 single handrails in another space, 1 to and 1 to the other. Now look, this is where we first started. Since we sank double to the first point, look, the first of the pair is the point where we first started. If you want, you can immediately move this locator to another upper row if you think you will mix up the order. Now we proceed to the end of the row by knitting the whole thing in the form of 1 pair, 1 odd, 1 pair, and 1 odd. Look, I've come to the end of my turn here, and I wanted to show you this stage. Look at my hand. I made it to the end of the row without any hand ironing. There is such a pitting. What I will say now is very important here. Actually, I will show you what I just said here. Now, if you are sure of your numbers, look, the knitting will be straightened when we hand iron it. Look, I'm fucking you with my hand, because when we knit paper rope, it breaks down. It's coming together in our hands. Look, we have become a smooth circle. The killer loves hand ironing. In fact, after the last knitting, you can iron it in reverse with a steam iron. See how I iron these knits in reverse? I press the steam iron directly. No deterioration occurs unless you put a cloth, towel, etc. on it. I've had no problems with the paper strings of spaghetti oil. As I said, you can also iron in reverse. You can even iron flat. When we look at the ready knitted bags in the store, they are definitely ironed because I see the iron marks, and I actually share this with you in many videos. Now look, I have shown and shared an important tip with you here. Now we finished our turn with one even, one odd, one even, one odd. We started with even, and look, our turn ended with odd. Now, an important tip here is to not overlap the double dots. How do we do it now? I'm filling up. See, this is where my couple is. See, this is where my first safety pin is. First point, second point. The first point I will start with is the row. I'm knitting each of these one by one. Again, look at the single handrail. There is no joining, etc. I pass the even point with 2 singles. Look, I started a new row. I'm filling up. Here I knit the odd part twice. A second single handrail in the same space. Look, I started with 2 singles. We're going to do 1 pair again, 2 odd 1 pair. I'm knitting 2 singles. And I'm preparing 1 pair. It's very easy to knit, 2 single pairs, and I put them on my hand straight away. Be sure to check your numbers. Be sure to move your safety pin up the next row in your locator. You will easily see where you started and where you ended. Now, look at what we will do next. We started with 10 single handrails. In the second row, we double dipped each one. We hit a double and a single on the next third. In the other row, we made 2 odd and 1 pair. We're trying not to overlap double dots here. In the next row, 3 odd 1 pair. In the next row, 4 odd 1 pair. In the next row, 5 odd 1 even. The single rows, that is the handrail points we knit singly, will increase by 1 in each row. We will have 10 double points at a time. There is no need to explain what happens next. We knit completely in a spiral way. Look, the logic is completely classical. Round base, increase logic. Normally, I would knit 1 by 1 when she gathered like this sometimes. But when you start with 10 counts, you don't need to knit single stitches in between. Towards the end, it seems to curl inward. But don't let this scare you. If you are sure of your numbers, you haven't made a wrong raise, etc. If it is collected like this, it gets better when you make the elite like this. If you find it very difficult to hand iron like this, you can turn it inside out and iron it with a steam iron. We obtain a very uniform image like this. Now I knitted 20 rows in total like this. The diameter of this is just like this. I want to tell you its size. You can enlarge this as much as you want. We don't have to make it in the same size. Look, I want to share the size. 35 centimeters. The exact size is 35 centimeters. Look, I knitted and prepared 2 round pieces like this, as I have described to you. Now I put them aside, and look, I knitted and prepared the side gaiter. I will share with you how I knitted it. I knitted 20 single crochets, starting with 21 chains in total. I will give you the measurements immediately. Then I want to quickly describe to you how I did it. Here it is 11 centimeters. The length of the side bellows with long pieces in the game is 91 and 92 centimeters. I can say it is 91 and a half. It has a length like this. Now how I did it, I want to share it with you immediately. I will use katip again for the bellows to describe it. Again, my thread number will be 3 millimeters. Here we start with a chain. You can start with as many needles as you want, up to the size of the side bellows. Here, your measurement from the measurements I gave may be a little less, maybe a little more. It will be useful. Here I prepared my side blind by knitting 20 single crochets with 21 chains in total. As I said, the order is not important. You can work it up to 92 centimeters. Look, I did not break my yarn at the end. If it is missing, I will start joining it from the first point so that I can knit it later. As I said in the last part, I did not break my yarn. If it is not enough, I will knit it. If it is too much, I leave a rope to make this adjustment by removing it so that I can adjust it according to our bag later. Now at this point, we are pulling our chains. You can prepare as many chains as you want. Now I will describe a small example. I turn the reverse part of my chain, not the straight part. Look at the back. I'm sinking into those dashed lines, these dots. I created my frequent needles by sinking into these parts. Now I leave the last chain. I dive directly into the back cut line of the next chain, remove the stitch and knit single crochet. SC again by inserting into the back dashed line of another chain. In this way, you can work as many needles across the width of your side gaiter as you want. Now, since I explained it in a small part, look here. 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets are enough. After the last single crochet, I slightly stretch my stitch. Look, I'm making a turn without a chain. That's why I dive directly into the first space that comes up, remove the stitch and knit again. Sinking into another space, I knit the second row with the same tight needle as I started with the same needle. Last point, look, I dip into the part that looks like a spike and knit single needle again. I stretch the stitch slightly and turn my knitting. I knit single crochet by dipping into the first space that comes up. If you think that I knitted or explained too quickly at this stage, you can slow down the video or, on the contrary, watch it by speeding it up. Look, by making turns like this, we will always knit 4 single crochets in each row, and we will progress our knitting by making unchained turns. We prepared our side bellows in this way. Now let's move on to mounting the side bellows to our bag. Now at this point, I left a little bit of yarn to connect the 2 round pieces while knitting them. It's too much. Look, I did the same process on 2 pieces. I left a little bit of rope here. Now there is a catch here. Here we knitted our last banister. Look, you need to knit both pieces equally. You can even do it like this. In this way, I always count to see if there is anything I might be wrong about. You can count as many handrails as you have in the last row. If I remember correctly, there were 198 of them. There is a handrail point. The other piece had the same number, so we have prepared our equal parts. Now I'm taking my gaiter. Look, this is my end point and the point where I first started. This is the point where I first started. Look, I take this round piece so that the flat part of the knitting remains outside. Look, my yarn is, I left a little bit of yarn here. I take this thread to join it to the pastry. I don't need that hook of yours anymore. I'm taking this out. This marked the starting point of my turn. Now I'm stretching my noose at this point. I stretched my stitch from the last railing I knitted. Now we will sink into the side blind first. First, look, here is the chain dot. I'm sinking into this void. Immediately the point where we have our short rope. This is our first starting point. Let's tighten this point. We are sinking to this point. Take this stitch from here. Look, take our crochet hook and the rope will come from the bottom. We remove this loop from this point. Look, we subtracted it from the first point. I'm even tightening the handrail a little bit, see, at the bottom. Now we will dive into the side blind first. We will first put these 2 parts together by sliding them into the blind and then into the bag. I want it now so that we have sunk into the side blind. I sink once to the top of this banister and look, I sink backwards into this wide gap and pull out a loop. I'm pulling out the loop here once like this. We have provided the link here. Now look, we are sinking into the next gap where the side bellows are. We sank into the side bellows. Look at the top of the next railing on the round piece and look at the bottom. Our rope is coming from below. We get a stitch from here. We take out our loop from the points where we went down and slide the loop we removed from the waiting loop. Lastly, we will hide these ropes. Look, the loop is here. First, look, we are sinking into the next gap. The gaps in the side bellows are evident right at the edges. Look, we're sinking like this. We sink into the gap in the round piece. Look, the rope is coming from the bottom. From here, we take our thread to the end of our crochet hook. First, we remove it from the round piece, then from the side bellows and slide it through our other loop. We immediately sink into the side bellows, sink into the round piece and slide from there. Then we will hide this rope and fix this point completely. First, we sink into the side bellows. Look at the next appropriate space. Then on the round piece, we remove the loop from the bottom and slide it. Look, you will see this in the scroll. A chain by chain spike will appear. Now we started from this corner. Look, we will have brought this round piece together with the side bellows. Once you have brought it together sufficiently, you can adjust the mouth opening as much as you want. Look, we left a rope here. We left too much yarn while knitting the side bellow. We also have a rope allowance here to complete it if it is missing, to remove it if it is is too much. Now we will place the side blind in this way and fix it as much as we want the opening. I will be sharing this with you with open mouth again. We will translate it later as we have described it here. Look at this piece. Then, by taking the other side blank, this time starting from this side, think like this, starting from here. This time we will combine the other piece as I described to you, and we will combine these two round pieces of the side blank. Then we will complete our bag by placing our handles. Look, we joined our two round pieces and our side bellows by sewing them opposite each other with a chain using the sliding technique. Now I will give you the measurement on the mouth part. The mouth opening of our bag is 25 centimeters. Look, when I hold it like this, the opening point is 25 centimeters. I didn't do any ironing of our bag after putting it together, but I plan to iron it. You can also easily iron the outside part. There will be no problem. I want to measure it right away. Look, when I iron the 45 centimeter width, it will open up a little more. Because right now, I think it's adding together with combining. His height is 40 centimeters and 41 centimeters. So we can call the measurement 45 by 41. I have already mentioned in the video the diameter of this circle, which measures the depth of the side bellows. Now I have stems here. I shared these stems with you in the previous video. For those who are wondering how I made this handle, I will add the link to the recipe video in the description section below. You can watch how I made these stems by clicking there. Now you can use handles, ready-made handles if you want, but I think these types of knitted handles suit such bags very well. But leather handles can also be used. Many brands offer this model with leather handles. It can be done that way too. Now I will use an etamine needle to join my stems together. I attach my needle using the paper thread I also use. I won't make any knots or anything like that. Here I first adjust my handle wherever I want to place it. Look, in this section, I will place it at this point. Now look at the braid first. I am hiding it by passing it through the intermediate points. There is no need to knot it in an unnoticeable way. We are hiding our rope. Then look, this part of the handle already has a spiral texture. We will sew it inside and out and fix our bag with an etamine needle. There will be no stitching and there will be no defects in the handle. We will have an appearance as if the handle was made in this way. Now look at it now. I am placing my handle in my bag by sewing it with an etamine needle. If you think it is not strong, look, when I prick from the inside, I prick from the inside of my bag. You can also remove it from the inside of the handle. Look, I want to show it with the appropriate spaces. You can continue sewing by passing your needle through the handle without damaging it. There will be no distorted image. It is very solid. There will be no opening, etc. Now, as I have described to you, I will place the other ends on the other four parts of my handle and the other end in the same way. I will place my handles in the same way on the opposite side. By ironing my bag one last time, I will have completed my bag. If you want, you can add horses to the mouth part. You can also sew the zipper with a snap, etc., or you can use it with a bag. But let me state that it is a bag that can be used very easily without straps. Now let's finish our bag. We have completed our bag in this way. I hope you like it and try it too. I wish good luck to those who will do it. Don't forget to like our video, leave a comment and subscribe to our channel. Goodbye until we see you in the next video.